Hey everyone, my name is Daniel, and we are going to take a look at the METAZOO market. We're going to look at facts, data, and evidence in order to support a position that METAZOO is a very healthy TCG/IP and that the market is actually trending upwards in spite of what some of the naysayers and doom and gloomers keep repeating in their Discord groups and on YouTube and other places. So I buy and sell things for a living, and when I'm looking at products that I want to potentially carry, there are some metrics that I use in order to determine the health of the market for that product. So we're primarily looking at the amount of supply versus the amount of demand and developing some metrics in order to calculate that so we can get, quantify a number that we can compare to other potential products we want to sell. And I think that this is going to be very revealing. Then we're also going to look at the core product of METAZOO, which is its booster boxes. And I'm going to show you that the market is in fact trending upwards in spite of what you're hearing. So we're looking at METAZOO on eBay right now, probably the biggest secondary market for TCGs, I think. You can see that there's 43,000 active listings for METAZOO products. Now, eBay gives us the ability to go back and look at 90 days of sales history for anything on the platform. So we're going to go look at the 90-day sale history of METAZOO, and we see that there are 17,000 sold listings in the last 90 days. So we can use these two metrics, these two numbers, in order to calculate what's known as sell-through rate, in order to gauge the relative health of the market versus other products we're considering selling. So we have 43,000 active listings in the collectible card game category for METAZOO. We divide that by the 17,000 solds in the last 90 days, and what we get is a 2.52 90-day cycle sell-through rate. So we got to multiply that times 90, and we get 227 days. So on average, it takes you 227 days to sell your METAZOO whatever, right? So this is known as sell-through rate. What we're going to do is we're going to take this sell-through rate, which is a very healthy sell-through rate, by the way. From my perspective, as someone who's looking at all kinds of products I don't really know much about, this is one of the go-to metrics I use to determine the relative health. And I can use this number to try to get an idea of how long these products are going to be sitting in my warehouse before they're all gone and I claim that room back, that space back in my inventory. So 227 is what we got. Now let's look at other healthy, well-known TCG IPs for comparison's sake. The first one I've chosen, and I've already done all this work, so I'm just using these because they're the best examples. We're going to look at Digimon in collectible card games. Digimon has 12,000 active listings, 12,000 sold in the last 90 days. Compare that to METAZOO, where you have 17,000 sold in the last 90 days. That's like a 40-45% more sales volume for METAZOO than there is for Digimon. So by that metric alone, METAZOO is a far healthier TCG IP than Digimon is. Now, if we go look at the active listings that are currently available for Digimon, we got 99,000. 99,000 active listings for Digimon, 12,000 sold in the last 90 days. So we're going to pull up our metric we got for METAZOO, 227 days, and we're going to do the same for Digimon. So we have 99,000 active listings for Digimon. We're going to divide that by the 12,000 solds in the last 90 days, and we get 8.25 90-day cycles. So we multiply that times 90. We get 2 years. 2 years. METAZOO, on average, you're holding on to your product 8 months to sell it. Digimon, 2 years. 2 years. The proof is in the pudding. The sales volume for METAZOO is far, far greater than Digimon. And the sell-through rate for METAZOO is far healthier. There's no comparison here. Do I want to be holding on to Digimon for 2 years and then selling it, or do I want to hold on to METAZOO for 8 months and then sell it? Right. So obviously, if I put a booster box of Cryptid Nation First Edition up for sale for $1, it'll sell instantly. So this isn't an exact metric on how long it's going to take you to sell your item, but it does give us the ability to gauge the relative health of one product versus another. So the next one we're going to look at is Dragon Ball Z, another very old, very successful TCG IP. You know, Digimon has been around like 25 years. Dragon Ball Z has been around for a long time as well. So Dragon Ball Z, we got 69,000 active listings in the collectible card game category. That is substantially more than MetaZoo. MetaZoo had what, 40 something thousand, I don't know. So substantially more. Now we look at the solds for Dragon Ball Z. We're at 5,500. 5,500 sold. So MetaZoo is selling 3 times more sales volume on this secondary market than Dragon Ball Z. It actually, MetaZoo is selling almost as much as both Digimon and Dragon Ball Z combined, right? That's substantial. So let's run the calculations on this just for comparison's sake. So we have a total of 69,000 active listings for Dragon Ball Z. Divide that by the 5,500 that sell in 90 days. We get 12.54 90-day cycles. So multiply that times 90. We get about 3 years, right? So let's just, you know, have a look at that and consider what it means. 227 days for MetaZoo, 2 years for Digimon, 3 years for Dragon Ball Z. Right? The sales volume of MetaZoo is dramatically higher than both of these TCG IPs. Both of them. Both of those TCG IPs, Digimon and Dragon Ball Z, have had video games, they've had comic books, they've had animated shows, right? They've already reached a global audience, and yet here is the demand versus the supply for these TCG IPs. Compare that to MetaZoo. Compare that to MetaZoo. MetaZoo has not had their characters come to life yet. We don't know what Sam Sinclair's voice sounds like. We don't know what Indrid Cold's personality is going to be like, although I think we can guess. But the point is that these characters have not had the breath of life breathed into them. They're going to come to life, and when they do, there's going to be a very large number of fans that are generated. Digimon, Dragon Ball Z, that they've already had all that. Not with MetaZoo. So when I look at these numbers, as somebody just, you know, that's just being objective and looking at the numbers, MetaZoo has a far healthier fan base than both Digimon and Dragon Ball Z, and the economy of the secondary market is far healthier. So now that we've got that out of the way, now you see where I'm coming from, right? 17,000 solds in the last 90 days. MetaZoo doesn't need the help of a man-child YouTuber who's gonna scream hyperbolic emotional statements which are unfounded and not based on any truth. MetaZoo doesn't need their help. MetaZoo just has to continue doing what it's doing, and it's going to continue to be successful as it already is, and it's going to continue to grow. So one of the places that we're also going to look is the secondary market for specific products, which show that the market is now trending upwards. I'm using TCG Player to do that primarily because TCG Player offers the best insight because it's visual. It's all in one place. eBay, if you search, like for instance, UFO booster box on eBay, you will see that the lowest listing right now is it's over 50. I think it's $55. So you can see, that the market is trending on eBay upwards. You can go verify all this for yourself. But we're just going to look at TCG Player because it's easy. So here's UFO booster boxes. Right now, still at a plateau. Hasn't really changed much. We can see, today we have 5 boxes sold at 44. We have yesterday, we have about a little over a case sold at 44. So just in the last 2 days, if we go back a few more days, we have 2 cases sold on TCG Player of UFO. People are still buying it. The price of it has been steady Eddie here at TCG Player, but on eBay the price is going up. So, but this is the most recent set that was overproduced, right? So we're still waiting to see the market curve upwards. Like I said, it has on eBay, but TCG Player is not far behind. I mean, after a couple of cases here, you're up in the 50 range on TCG Player. I really wish my phone would stop spamming me. All right, so anyway, we're going to move on to Wilderness now. Wilderness is where it starts to get interesting. We can see at the end of March here there was a dip, a bottoming out of the market, but we can see it start to rebound here. This data is showing 51.45 is the most recent data for price history, but we know that's not true. We can look right here and see boxes are selling at 56.80. 4 boxes there, 3 boxes at 56.80, another one at 56.80, and this is in spite of Card Shop Live dumping all of their old MetaZoo inventory. They've got, in case you don't know, Wilderness boxes on Card Shop Live right now are 40 bucks. They sold out of them, then they relisted more, I believe, last night or yesterday. So if you're looking for Wilderness boxes, head over there and scoop them up. But what we see here is, look, right now on TCG Player, you have 2 boxes at 56.75. You have 2 Wilderness boxes at 56.80. Then after that, we're up to 62. You also see this trend on eBay. You see it curving upwards. Those really cheap available boxes are disappearing, and we're getting now into the upper 50s and into the 60s. This is also happening on eBay. So the market is actually trending upwards, and we have fact-based evidence to prove that, instead of the emotional hyperbole that everything's crashing. It's going up. We're going to look at Seance and see the same thing. Look, at the end of March, it hits this valley here. It hits the bottom. Then it starts to trend up. Now, this sales data here you're seeing, this is $83.53. But the most recent sales history is $93. So this peak here is 86, right? Once this data gets reflected in this graph, it's going to the graph is going to turn up in this direction. It's dramatically increasing. Not only that, but if we go look at, so this just got listed. This was not here about an hour ago, but we have 1 box here at $90, which is still substantially more than this, right? Once that 1 box is gone, we're at 100 bucks. We're at 100 bucks on TCG Player, right? The market is trending up. We have 1 sale at 93, 2 at 93, another one at 93. We have 2 here at $100. Once this data gets reflected in these graphs, which gets updated periodically, you're going to have the curve way up here. Let's look at Nightfall. Nightfall, the same thing. We see the valley, the bottom of the valley here at the end of March, and now we see it curving back upwards. And this, again, is in spite of Card Shop Live actually had Nightfall boxes at $85 plus shipping. Those sold out really quickly. Once those were gone, we're right back to where we were. And where we were is boxes selling at 112, 109, right? These are recent sales. This sales data here is at 105.50 in the graph. Once this data gets reflected in the graph, we're going to be back up to where we started in January. We're going to be back up. So we can see that there's a valley here that was formed. It bottomed out at the end of March, and now it's curving back upwards. We can see that happening. So let's look at Cryptid Nation First Edition as an example. Okay, so we start out in January at 480. We come all the way down here. They're saying 440, but we know that the price data is not actually that good. We can see here 350 at the end of March. 3 boxes at 350 at the end of March. Then we see a box at 410. Right, and when we look at what's available on TCG Player, we're at 410, right? So this trough here should be much lower, and it should show that it's curving up. If you go over to eBay, we're still kind of in the bottom of that trough. These 360, 370 boxes are still being put up, or they still exist. But we saw Cryptid Nation boxes start to bottom out in the lower 3s. Now we're getting up into the mid to upper 3s. And I have a feeling that pretty soon that these are going to be into the 400s, and this is going to be trending up as well. So that's my fact-based analysis. I can see the trend, right? And so this morning, I got up and there was a gentleman on YouTube, Jake G. He makes these hyperbolic videos, right? These unfounded emotional videos where he's screaming at a camera, and none of it's based on anything in reality. Like, this is actual data. And I told him that the boxes that the market is trending upwards. He called me a liar. Am I lying? I mean, do my eyes deceive me? I think that, and here's my explanation for what we went through with MetaZoo. And I think most people have the understanding of it now, but for those that don't realize, number one, you had stimulus, right? A lot of money. It's flooding into collectibles, not just MetaZoo, but across the board. Stimulus ran out, right? And the prices were going up, up, up. When the stimulus ran out, it plateaued. Then reality started to set in for a lot of people. Rising gas prices, rising food prices. Generally, the cost of living is increasing. People have to make tough decisions. I need to sell off some of this stuff. They start selling off their MetaZoo, right? So you combine the fact that there's no more stimulus money and this market plateaued with the fact that now the cost of living is going up. And now that you have more MetaZoo coming onto the market with less buyers, and it's going down. This was easily forecastable, right? This is why smart investors right now are buying the dip. This is the dip. Smart investors are buying the dip, and it's going up. As a result, some of these are fans. Some of them, I'm sure, are smart investors. But the people who are emotional, the people who thought that MetaZoo was the new Bitcoin, and they better get it now because it's going to the moon. Right? And they have to guarantee themselves that seat on the rocket ship. They're buying in, Kickstarter at 10 grand a box, or Cryptid Nation First Edition at $1,000 a box, right? Because they're nervous, they're scared, they got anxiety that they're going to miss this boat, right? Those same investors that bought in for that reason are the same investors who are selling off when it starts to go down because they don't want to be stuck with it when it goes to zero. And according to these, clowns on YouTube and other places, it's going to zero, it's going to zero. So it's emotional driven. They bought in high because of their fear and anxiety, and then they sold because of their fear and anxiety. That's the reality in stocks, it's reality in crypto, it's the reality everywhere. A lot of people like this exist in the world, and that's how they make their decisions. They listen to what other people say, and then they download what it is that they're being told, and they get, scared, and they buy, and then they get scared and they sell. The smart investors are the people who, use facts and analysis, something that's concrete that they can look at to determine, or forecast what the trend is going to be. And I could have forecasted for you in the beginning that this was a bubble that was going to burst. There would be a bottoming out of the bubble, and then people were going to buy it up. That's exactly what we're seeing now. The other thing I want to point out is that in, these secondary markets, and I'm in Discords and Facebooks and other places, people are selling off their MetaZoo, and then other people are buying it, right? The fan base, the consumer base for MetaZoo is still very, very high. As we saw with eBay, 17,000 sold in the last 90 days versus Digimon's 12,000, right? 5,500 for Dragon Ball Z, 17,000 for MetaZoo. Very strong, healthy fan base. And I got to tell you guys, the point of this channel, the reason I made this channel is to talk about decks, right? Deck tech, brewing, that kind of stuff. And the game of MetaZoo is actually really good. And that was one of the big questions I had when MetaZoo came out. I couldn't determine whether or not this was going to be a viable competitive card game. There just wasn't enough data. We had a rule book, and we had Cryptid Nation, First Edition, and that was it. A handful of cards in a rule book. And I was thinking, well, this has a lot of promise. It looks like it could be a good card game, but we'll have to wait and see. We're at the point now where we've got like 6 sets, and I play it with my friends. We have a blast. We have a blast. Sorry about my phone blowing up. I should have turned it off. We have a blast playing it. It is lots of fun. I've played a lot of Magic, and the Magic, I didn't realize how stuffy Magic was until I played MetaZoo, if you catch my drift. The other night we were playing, and all hail the great beyond, and we're still laughing about that. And it was a good game. It was competitive. It was fun. But there's these little things that happen, with the fourth wall effects and stuff, and it's just, it's a good game. So if you're not playing MetaZoo, and you're into MetaZoo, like as a collector, I would, or even as an investor, crack a few boxes, or build a deck. Go on to so Caster Society has a good site. You can create your own decks and upload it there, and then you can play on Tabletop Simulator with friends. So Tabletop Simulator is a game on Steam. It's cheap. You download the Caster Society app, and then you can import your decks or other people's decks and play with each other. And it's pretty slick. It works very, very well. So if you're a collector, or an investor, I would highly recommend you try playing it. It's a lot of fun. And anyway, that's all I got, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I just, I have an interesting background. I had a background in collectibles in the 80s and 90s. My father was big time into it, and I used to help him with all kinds of stuff, doing shows in baseball card stores and stuff like that. I haven't been into it in a long time, but what I was into for a very long time is conducting research. I'm never going to talk about it on this channel, but like economy, geopolitics, globally, that kind of stuff. And so I applied that to MetaZoo, and everything checked out. Everything looked supremely promising. It still does right now. And so I hear all this like negativity, like people bashing MetaZoo for anything they can find, anything. And whether or not it's even something that's reasonable to be upset with. And they're making these videos that are like clickbaity, and hyperbolic. I mean, that's the only way to really explain it. It's just like this, emotional bleh. And there's nothing there that is concrete or crystallized that I could attach those opinions to. I mean, you could argue that, well, MetaZoo was really high in price and then it went down in price. But that doesn't mean that MetaZoo isn't a healthy company. It means that the secondary market was overinflated, right? And it crashed. It's kind of like the housing market in 2008. The housing market, basically the banks were lending money to anybody that asked for it because it was all free to them. There was negative interest rates. And they were pumping money into the housing market, inflating this bubble, and then it burst and came back to reality. And now it's going crazy again. But the point is, although the bubble was created and then the cost of housing, plummeted, the cost of, property plummeted, that doesn't mean a house is any less valuable than it was before or after. Like, a house is a house, right? And MetaZoo is still a healthy TCG IP with a huge fan base. Just because the secondary market got inflated like the housing market and then burst, like the housing market, it doesn't mean that MetaZoo is any less valuable. It just means that a lot of people got suckered in because of fear and anxiety into paying prices they never should have paid. They weren't realistic. I never bought at those prices, not because I can't afford it, but because it's a very poor financial decision. And now the market's bottomed out, and now I'm buying back in. And I forecasted this would happen. Saved my money for when it would, right? And now I'm buying. But so are a lot of other people. So if you're a fan of MetaZoo, have confidence. My advice, I guess I shouldn't say financial advice. My opinion is that if I had bought in to MetaZoo at $1,000 a Kickstarter box, I would hold on to that. Because my belief, my estimation, based off of my analysis, is that $1,000 a box will be recuperated at some point, and maybe and then some, right? For the time being, you could take a loss, and cash out because you think it's going to zero, or you could just hang on just a little bit longer, see what happens in the markets. I'm seeing things trend up, and and then make your move down the road. So I just and if if you're a fan of MetaZoo, these kinds of videos that are getting posted on social media with people, oh my God, MetaZoo's, it makes people nervous. It makes people scared. I mean, there are people, I'm sure, that want to invest in MetaZoo because they love it, but they're scared to spend $100 on this because they think it's going to be worthless down the road, or or $50 on that, right? They're just worried. They're scared. From my point of view, from what I've seen, the prices right now are as low as they're going to get on this older product. It's only going to trend upwards. Now, that's not accounting for if the economy blows out or something like that. At that point, all bets are off. Everything's going to zero unless it's food or, bullets. But But, you know, outside of that, you know, MetaZoo, I see it all trending up. So get in while you can is my opinion on that, and that's what I'm doing. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section. You know, if you have anything to add to this discussion, I'm happy to hear it. If you are a dissenter, if you're angry at me because I told you that you made an emotional decision you shouldn't have made, go ahead and let me know. Let me know, and you know, I just ask that you back up anything you say with facts and evidence. I tried to do that on a YouTube channel earlier, and the guy's actually deleting my evidence, right, and saying you don't have any evidence. Man, children. So anyway, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one, and let me know what you think.